Mike and JD. I'm JD.
And I'm David Pumpkins.
Any questions? But yes, this is our Halloween episode. Last year, we did a Halloween episode. That's right, we've been doing this for a year now. I just want to point out. Yeah, because I know we had a Halloween episode last year. So, wow, we've been doing this for over a year.
And if
if
analytics are to believe, this will be our most popular episode.
Yes, because our candy episode last year was our most popular episode. So, now this year we're going to talk about another big part of Halloween, the costumes. We're going to specifically talk about costumes that we've done in the past. And if I do my job right, I'll even show us pictures of it. But that's future JD problem, not present JD problem. So, good luck, future JD. Anyway, but yes. So, costumes. I mean, I love costumes, first of all. I would regularly, I'm having a costume party? Okay, I'm going to wear a different costume to the costume party than I'm wearing for Halloween. So I would have multiple Halloween costumes a year. And then I will also sometimes dress up for Comic-Con, so I just love costumes.
Oh, me too. I always feel like costumes are similar to prom dresses. You get them for one specific occasion and you're like, oh man, I'm never going to use this again. So you just really want another occasion to use them. So I'm definitely one of those people Exhibit A, I'm I need to think of any excuse to wear this costume a second time.
Well, no, that's a joke on Parks and Recreation. Ron Swanson, he's a pirate, and the next year he's a pirate again. It's weren't you a pirate last year? He's like, yes, this is my Halloween costume. He just has the one Halloween costume he wears every year.
Exactly. I feel like I want to have as I get older, I want to have a stable of 5 Halloween costumes that I rotate between, because it's too much to keep buying new ones, but I'm also not crafty enough. We'll get into it, but that's one of the hardest things I think about Halloween is my mom used to make all of my costumes from when I was born to when I was probably around 13, 14 years old. Every single one of my costumes were hand sewn by my mom. And then when I started buying them, I'm I can't afford this.
Yeah. So I'm gonna start with one of my earliest costumes that I remember picking out. Now my birthday is at the beginning of October, so my Aunt Susan was like, "Hey, why don't I get you a Halloween costume for your birthday?" I'm like, "That's great." And so she got me. It was this nice pirate costume I picked out, and I should have grabbed it beforehand, cause I was probably 5 at the time. I still have the bandana from that. I don't have it on me right now, but somewhere in this household, I still have the bandana with skulls on it that lasted for gotta be over 20 years now.
That's good. Usually I would say most cheap fabrics from Halloween costumes don't last that long, so that's how you know it's good.
It's noticeably stretched out in parts, but it's still pretty good shape, all things considering. So what's one of your earliest costumes you remember? You remember?
Let's see. So my earliest Halloween costume ever was probably a fireman. I was as a child, I was obsessed with being a fireman. I just thought they got to wear cool outfits, they got to drive cool trucks. I was just obsessed. I would always have my parents take me down to the firehouse and sit in the trucks whenever they would let me. So I think 6 years in a row, I was just a fireman. So that's
fireman.
And that's to anyone who knows me now, it's very funny because it's very not me, but that was one of my earliest and most favorite costumes was just a fireman. But I always was a weird Halloween hipster. I always tried to pick something out of they were usually popular, but I don't know. Tell me if you feel this way too. But I felt when we were younger, there was no Spirit Halloween type thing for me to just run out and buy a prefabricated costume.
Party City.
You had Party City, but even then at Party City was here's a clown or here's a a killer, or here's like the
Well,
the Scream mask, but like it wasn't like these elaborate nerdy costumes. Like I think that's one of the biggest things.
Oh well, yeah, not to the level they are now. I mean, they did have like the full set of costumes, but I never found that as fun as making your own costume.
Well,
or making your mom make you your own costume.
Well, when I was younger, I wanted to be Mario for Halloween. And I scoured Party City and the mall and like Hot Topic and Spencer's for a Mario hat. Like I just wanted the Mario hat. And I couldn't find it anywhere. I found like a baseball cap with an M on it, but that was like the best I could find. So my mom had to like make me a Mario hat out of like a red hat that we like glued an M on and buy some overalls and whatever. But like now you can just go on Amazon or anywhere and just like Google Mario and like 20 costumes come up. Oh, do you want to be like the Mario Odyssey Mario or do you want to be Mario Sunshine Mario? So like I think that's there's more options for like nerdy Halloween. Like I was.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I was.
And I mean, just with the internet alone, I mean, you could order everything you need nowadays. It's not like back. I mean, when we were kids, we had. I mean, the internet existed, but Amazon wasn't what it is now, where you could just. I want this very specific thing, and you're gonna deliver it to me the day after tomorrow. It was like, yeah, I'll check this store to see if they have this specific thing. Oh, if they don't, I'm out of luck.
Exactly. Like, I think, on the one hand, it way ups the convenience factor, but on the other hand, there was a certain fun charm in, like, the month before Halloween, I'm like, oh, Mom, I want to be Gandalf. That was another one of my big costumes. I want to be Gandalf, and I was, like, hunting around for, like, wizards' hats, and, like, we bought this, like, brown, gray fabric that we, like, sewed into, like, this cloak and whatever. Even like my Jedi outfit, like I was Obi-Wan Kenobi for one Halloween, and my mom like made the Jedi.
Wait, hold on! I just want to say one thing. What a shock!
Yeah,
Sorry,
yeah.
Go on.
I am shocked at myself that I wasn't a Star Wars character for more Halloweens. Only one Halloween was I Obi-Wan Kenobi. For most of my
That actually is a little surprising.
For most of my Halloweens, I was like. Just some fictional character that I was excited about. What's another like Halloween costume that like that you were particularly like excited to be or like it stands out to you?
Well, here's a question. Did you you have sisters? Did you ever dress up as something together?
Oh, as like a team, either like a group costume or a couple's costume. No, that's something I've always wanted to do. I was this close to convincing my friends to do Pac-Man and all the ghosts, but they bailed on me at the last second.
Because me and my sister have actually done costumes together many, 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 many times. Like one of the first ones we did was Peter Pan and Tinkerbell. Like, my mom made a costume from scratch, and it was really funny because those of you who know my sister now know she's pretty short. I'm like at least 5 inches taller than her, but at the time she was taller than me, even though she was supposed to be the fairy.
That's really funny.
Yeah, and also what's also funny is that like. My sister said our childhood came full circle because now she has a Tinkerbell tattoo and I have a Peter Pan tattoo. So, our childhood came full circle in that regard also.
Exactly. That's awesome.
But yeah, so that was one costume we did together. And then it was almost perfect if we had a third friend because Lock, Shock, and Barrel from Nightmare Before Christmas, right? Mm-hmm. The three little kids? Okay, well, I was Barrel, the skeleton guy. She was Shock, the witch. The costumes were perfect. But we didn't have anybody to do the devil. So it was just the two of us.
That's another common problem I run into is like, oh, okay, you have like two people, but like you have a group, like you have a team of three,
yeah. Like, I think my sister did my makeup for that one. It was like I was pretty young, but she did a good job. The skeleton shirt was bought, but for the pants they were just jeans that my mom cut out fabric for like bone fabric for it glued on. And what's great about it is that it's like supposed to be a costume, so like it's not. I'm not supposed to be a skeleton. I'm some creepy thing dressed up as a skeleton.
Right, exactly. You're a costume within a costume.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Well, that's also sometimes a nice way to go. You know, I don't know how you feel about this. The thing that really sort of there was a big transition for me in terms of Halloween, because I remember for Boy Scouts, I used to go as like one year I was a knight. I was always like very against like scary. I never was into like horror or like frightening things, so I was always like shied away from like my friends were always like had these like bloody makeup or like this mask that like squirts fake blood or something like they always had like something gruesome or like they were like the Grim Reaper. So like my friends all were really into like the spooky scary side of Halloween, but I kind of just viewed Halloween as a time to like dress up. And I find this is true more, but like I sort of felt like I was using it as an excuse to like cosplay. Like my Halloween costumes, I was like Speed Racer. I was always a character that I enjoyed from like a cartoon rather than something scary. I was never anything scary. And I feel like that's become more of a thing. Like while there are still like, oh, I'm a skeleton, or oh, I'm a ghost, or oh, like I draw like creepy makeup on myself. Some people who get really into the spooky side of Halloween do enjoy that, but I feel like a lot of times like people just use it as an excuse to cosplay, which is actually why I've gotten much more into Halloween, because I like nerdy stuff. I don't really like horror stuff.
See, I've done both. Like I've done a lot of things that are just costumes. I have had a couple though, like that were creepy. Like once, I don't even know how I ended up with this, but we had a mechanic. Like we ended up with a mechanic outfit. I'm like, oh, I'll be a zombie mechanic for Halloween. So like, it wasn't too much. It was like, some blood dripped here. Like there was like this. My mom found this like thing that was like, oh, it looks like a screw is in my hand.
Mm-hmm.
And another year, this wasn't so much a group costume with my sister, but it was inspired by my sister's costume. She decided she was going to be a zombie cheerleader. I'm like, hey, that's a good idea. I'll be a zombie football player.
Nice.
So, yeah.
Nice, yeah.
Those are really, though, the only particular... Oh, well, actually, that's not true. There was one year when I had a devil mask. That was one of the things when I was something more generic. And I was a Grim Reaper once. I had, like, the rib cage that if you squeeze the thing, the blood drips down.
Yeah, those were really popular for a little bit. I always thought those were cool. Even though I was like, ooh, it's creepy.
Yeah, oh, it was creepy. I'm like, I was pretty young at the time. It was like, look at the blood. Haha, look at the blood. Like,
I don't know about you, but like, my mom, like I said, my mom always made my costumes. So she was also really obsessed with me being A, safe, and B, warm, which were, very good things. But we learned by experience, because my mom made my sister a costume. She went as a book, because my sister's obsessed with reading. So she went as a book, and she had like her little head sticking out. She was like a bookmark or whatever, but she couldn't bend her knees. So she was like wobbling around the whole time. Like, and it's just like, it was a difficult thing. So like that was one big thing. You always had to have like flexibility and momentum. Like you had to be able to like get out of the way of cars and stuff. So my mom was very adamant about that for my costumes. And the second thing was warmth. My other sister went as a ballerina one year for Halloween, and it just turned out to be a really cold Halloween, and she was just freezing the entire time. So my mom would always like make sure she like sewed some like thermal layers into my costumes, but I usually wound up like sweating. But I just remember one year I went as a robot, and I really wanted to be a full like Douglas Adams robot, but my mom was like, all right, you're gonna be like the top half of a robot, but with like human legs, because I had to be able to move my knees.
Yeah, I never went for any impractical costumes like that. Even the makeup sometimes I was like, kind of babyish about, like, I don't want too much makeup.
Yeah. I mean, I am very lazy when it comes to costumes, which is part of why I don't do anything more elaborate. I always like have a plan. Every year I'm like, next year I'm gonna go all out for Halloween. But I'm always just embarrassed of having like, if I go to like a convention or something as for like cosplay, I always am intimidated by people who have like really expert makeup or really like expensive costumes.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, oh, I have like a t-shirt that I spray painted different colors, and you have like this like beautiful hand sewn like piece.
Well, see, that's why whenever I do a cosplay as a convention, I pick like very easy characters. One year, me and my sister, we were Dipper and Mabel from Gravity Falls. Very simple. He wears an orange shirt, a vest, shorts, and I had to order it online, but the blue pine tree hat.
Right, of course.
Another year, I was Shaggy, she was Velma. Again, just need a green shirt and corduroy and brown corduroy pants.
No, exactly.
I purposely pick easy things. That's like, yeah, whenever I'm at a Comic Con. The best cosplay I feel I ever did at a convention was, it was at Atlanta, on the Dragon Con in Atlanta, the 1 year I went. It was right after the first season of Agent Carter came out. Like, I think that show came out in the summer, so it was like very recent. So I decided to do, I'll do a cosplay of Peggy Carter. I called it Petey Carter. So I had a nice, cause she wore that blue dress. So I'm like, okay, a nice blue suit. I got like, it was a nice red hat. It was like a fedora, but a little bit bigger. Got like the SSR badge pin on it, and it was great. Because it was like, yeah. But see, it also helped though. No, I'm doing like the opposite gender, because there was a lot of Peggy Carters there. I was like the only guy though doing it, so it's like, okay. See, now if I tried to do Peggy Carter, I kind of wouldn't stand out as much. If I was a girl doing Peggy Carter, let me say, I wouldn't have stood out as much. But see, that's why I was like, okay, I'm doing the opposite gender. That's another way to help you. Like, here's helping me stand out.
Yeah, I always find that pretty cool / interesting. Like, you see a lot more nowadays, like variations on characters that are not just like, I feel like sometimes you see people trying to like perfectly replicate the characters, and other times you see like either like gender flipped versions of characters or like alternate versions of characters. I've seen a lot of like steampunk Jokers, or like, like Deadpool but also X, like. Yeah. That's
well, people love doing that with Deadpool. But also, first I want to point out that one person, like, there's like this meme online where it's like, a female steampunk Joker. You're overdoing it. Which one is a BS thing? You can't overdo cosplay. But like the whole joke is like, no, that's actually
it's a character.
Yeah. Like it's a specific character from the comics. But also, like, let's say it was a specific character from the comics. She really was just doing a steampunk cross-dresser Joker. Why is that a problem? Like, what is the problem there?
No.
I don't...
No, exactly.
Yeah.
Although I will say I do get a little burnt out on Deadpools. I think there are,
yeah.
Power to you if you want to be Deadpool.
Deadpool is the one...
But I'm just like, I go to conventions and I see like, here's Deadpool with a chef's hat. Here's Deadpool in a stormtrooper costume. Here's Deadpool, like, but this, and Deadpool but that. And like, hey, I mean, whatever. But like, I'm a little burnt out on that costume.
I'll definitely give you Deadpool, because it's like, everybody's doing it kind of thing. Like, I'll definitely give you that. But just in general, like, you want to do a steampunk version of a character? Why not? Like I don't get why people get mad about the mashups. It's like that's the whole point of it.
No, I mean it's true. Like, even though like I'm very much into like I want to be the character, like I want to be as close to the character as I can. I totally like don't fault anyone for like. But then again, I feel like it doesn't matter. What you want to. I mean, the whole point is like you're pretending, like you're not actually this character. So it doesn't really matter. Although I do feel very self-conscious. Like one of the reasons I find it hard to like cosplay as a character, I'm like, oh man, but I don't look like that. Like all these characters that I'm like, I mean, like it's unrealistic to think that, but I'm just like, oh man, like characters will either have A, way too complicated a costume, or B, just look nothing like me, and I feel awkward like cosplaying as them. Which like is just a me thing. Like I mean, I don't think it's a problem if you don't actually look like the characters. I mean, none of us like look like Arnold Schwarzenegger. But I'm curious, how do you feel about, because I feel like some people think this is lazy, other people think it's like fun. Like one of the other issues I encounter a lot with Halloween costumes is there's no costume. Like one of my favorite, like some of my favorite shows are just like, oh, like it's just a reality show, or it's a crime show or whatever. Like it's easy with like superheroes and Jedi and like characters like that, or even like someone like Shaggy who has like, oh, he always wears the green shirt, he always does this.
Yeah, but you know what though?
But like,
but you're talking about like live action.
Yeah, like
live action.
Like,
what they wear.
Like my friend was like really obsessed with The Office, so he would just dress up like characters from The Office. Every year he was a different character from The Office, and everyone was just like, oh, you're just like a person in a suit. Like you're just wearing like normal clothes.
Well, actually, I was gonna bring this up later, but the laziest costume I feel I ever did was, and I don't even think I ever decided if I was James Bond or Man in Black. But I mean, I was just wearing a suit and sunglasses, like, and looking back, I'm like, wow, that was a lazy costume on my part. Like, so, I feel like, certain characters is like one year, when I was at Dragon Con, there was this guy who it helped that he looked a little bit like him, but like he was very clearly Chris Pratt's character on Parks and Rec, Andy. Mm-hmm. Like, and it was so clear. Like, I didn't even watch the show at the time,
right? And
I knew who he was supposed to be. Like, I'm like, oh, that's that guy from that show I've seen online. Like, and his car, it's like pretty simple. It's like a button-down shirt, tie, and stuff. But like, it was like, I think it helped a lot that he looked like the guy. Like he had a similar look to him.
Well, exactly.
He.
It helps if you look like the character. I mean, I don't think it's a requirement, but especially in stuff like that, I feel like it's tough because, you see a lot of people with just like, a name tag that says like, hello, my name is Dwight or whatever. Like, it's just
which I feel like, well, Dwight has a bit more, like, at least you have the glasses with Dwight. Mm-hmm. Like, but like, if you, like, I can't see how you could do Jim from The Office, like, unless you happen to just look a lot like John Krasinski.
Right, exactly. That's what I mean. Like, it's hard when a character that you like doesn't have a signature look. You just have to, like, dress normally.
Mm-hmm. Oh, a little bit of a pivot here, but I'm going to get a little bit hipster here for a moment. So, I liked Harry Potter before it was, like, big. Like, like, I liked it, long before the movies. And I was Harry Potter one year for Halloween. Now, hopefully I can find a picture of it. Now, a lot of people look at me like that's a terrible Harry Potter costume. But it's like, no, because I did that costume before the movies were out. And they had their elaborate school robes. If you look at the first book, he's literally wearing normal clothes with a cape over it. So that's what I did. Normal clothes, cape over it, the glasses, and a lightning bolt. Like, It seems lazy now because now they made everything so much more complicated. But it was true to the books at the time.
No, I mean, that's...
It's the moment done.
That's actually exactly what I was getting at before of, like, I had these costumes like Speed Racer. Like, at the time, it was like, oh, where in the world could you conceivably get this costume? And so we had to, like, craft it. But then, like, 2 years later, just go on any website and Google Speed Racer, and the whole costume just comes up for sale. So, like, it's one of those...
Which, actually, I want to say something about Speed... Hold on, I want to say something about Speed Racer. Like, we ended up not doing this, but last year my dad and I almost did. Like, he was going to be Speed Racer, and I was going to be Pop Racer.
That's an awesome group costume.
Yeah, it was mostly because we hadn't not really do anything because of COVID. Mm-hmm. But, I loved that idea though. That my dad being Speed, being Pop. Like Speed Racer is one of his favorite shows, so he just wanted to do that costume. Like, oh, if you do that, I could be Pops. That'd be so much fun.
That is really fun.
So I just wanted to say that while that was still relevant.
No,
You can
no.
go on.
I will say also my neighborhood was very uncultured, so it's very disheartening. I went around as Speed Racer, I went around as Gandalf, and nobody ever recognized who I was. They were like, "Are you Father Time? Are you some sort of
Well,
flying ace? Like, I don't understand this costume."
So wait, was Gandalf before the movies?
Yes, this was before the movies.
Okay. See, that's fun because I actually a little bit of a tangent, but it reminds me of an episode of Friends, when Ross and Chandler have a friend they call Gandalf, and Joey doesn't get it, and it's like, yeah, this reference is so dated because whether or not you've seen Lord of the Rings, you know nowadays who Gandalf is. Like,
right, exactly. Although I was Legolas at the year that the Fellowship came out, and more people recognized me at least that year.
Yeah.
Or at least vaguely understood that I was some sort of elf. I think
Yeah, what was he late?
I think Mario was the
Even
only
Legolas
time.
again.
I think Mario was the only costume I ever had where people were like, "Yep, you're Mario." Like, I
actually did a Mario once too, and my sister was Peach.
Nice.
Yes.
So,
and like I said, it was the same thing as you said. I had to make the Mario hat because I couldn't find it in the store.
So before we start wrap up, I wanna ask you this: what's one costume if you had unlimited budget time? What's one costume that you've always wanted to do but never have for either? Maybe you are planning to do it. Or what's a costume you're interested in, but either it's too elaborate or it's just you haven't gotten around to it yet.
Well, a big one I would love to do is Commander Shepard from Mass Effect, but I mean, like, that armor is just like, no way I can actually make that.
Well, I mean, the nice thing
That's
is
a thing.
Commander Shepard can look like anyone, so that's not an obstacle at least.
Well, yeah, so that's actually what I do love about Commander Shepard, because that anybody, it's like any gender, any race, I do love that about Commander Shepard.
Exactly.
But yeah, that's the big one. What about you?
For me, it's a tie. If I had unlimited budget, the tough thing for me is always armor. Like, I always feel too self-conscious. I'm like, do I use duct tape? Like, that kind of looks cheap. Do I use cardboard? That looks kind of pathetic. Like, I'm too embarrassed to try and do armor. But the two costumes I've always wanted to do are either Samus Aran from Metroid, or most of all, I want to do Gordon Freeman from the Half-Life games. And they both kind of have the same vibe of like a power armor, kind of like suit enhancer type thing. Samus is even more elaborate. But I'm just like, I never know what to do. I'm like, I don't have the materials to make it look good, so I'm too self-conscious to do the costume. And they're still not quite big enough that you can just like mail order a costume yet.
Yeah. So I do got a couple more costumes I have to discuss. Alright, this actually is one that I spent the morning figuring out the story behind, and then I confirmed it. So I was actually matching my shirt, Jack Skeleton from Nightmare Before Christmas, my senior year of high school. It took a couple of this before, but now I am positive. My makeup was done by my cousin Victoria, who happens to be a professional stylist.
Oh, nice.
So my parents were out of town, and she happened to be staying with me, and she's also a huge Nightmare fan. So she did my makeup before school that day. It was my senior year of high school, and then that one came out cool. Let's see, I was Fix-It Felix one year. That was fun. Another thing, I cannot remember if this was for Halloween or it might have been just for a Met game. But one year I was Mike Piazza. Like, my mom drew a little goatee on me.
Nice.
I had my Met hat, my Met shirt. Like I said, I can't remember. Was that a Halloween party? Was that Halloween? Was that just a Met game? But I do remember I did that once. Trying to remember if I have some. Oh, one year I was a pilot. Because I always I just find pilot hats to be super cool.
Yes,
Like,
they
I
are
don't know
cool.
why. But like,
They are cool.
so I finally got one after like looking for them forever. And so then I was just like, yeah. And like, I already had a nice like pilot leather jacket. I had a red scarf. I'm like, I'm a pilot, just a generic pilot. Trying to. Oh, Sherlock Holmes one year because I wanted to get the hat.
Yes.
I wanted to get the hat. And like I had the pipe. I had like this wraparound blanket. That one came out good. Trying to think. I know. There's like an awesome costume I did one year that I'm forgetting, but that's all that's coming to my mind. Any other costumes you want to shoot out that you did before we wrap up?
Let's see. If I have any, I'll shoot them over. But yeah, I'm trying to think. I was kind of lackadaisical, in my adult years. I didn't really go all out. I bought a Spider-Man hoodie one year just because in college it was just like, oh, okay, we're going to a theme party. It wasn't like a trick-or-treating scenario. So I was like, oh, I have a Spider-Man hoodie, so I'm Spider-Man. 1 year.
Well, hold on. On that thought, when I was fixing Felix, we ended up doing like zombie laser tag that year for Halloween. But I'm like, I'm still wearing my costume anyway. Go on.
And then one year like this Christian fellowship I was part of did like an All Saints Day thing instead of a Halloween party. So I think it was Maximilian Kolbe because you had to dress up like a saint for the day after Halloween. But I think that's pretty much all my main costumes. I'm sure there are some that I'm forgetting, and they're also I'm discounting when I was a baby, I think my parents dressed me up as like a pumpkin or I had a couple of costumes.
I feel like everybody was a pumpkin for their first Halloween.
Pre my knowledge, but
yeah.
Oh,
I forgot a big one. So in high school, I was very into Mel Brooks. Mm-hmm. So one year I was specifically Dr. Frankenstein. Not Dr. Frankenstein, but Dr. Frankenstein from Young Frankenstein. Cause my grandma worked in the hospital, so I was easily able to get a lab coat. I made my hair look all messy. But I had a name tag, but I'm like, no, it's Frankenstein. I'm specifically the one from Young Frankenstein, not Dr. Frankenstein.
Not the regular version.
I would have been upset if I forgot that one, so I'm happy I remembered that one last second.
But yeah, I think that's all the main ones. I think dressing up is I think probably one of my favorite. I've never been overly enthusiastic about Halloween, but as the years go on, I get more excited about it because it's just a fun time to dress up, eat some candy, and I think that's one of the most fun things about it.
Yeah. Mhm. So I think that's it. But I mean, considering what you're wearing now, you gotta say the line.
Any questions?
And that's how we wrap up the episode.